welcome out all y'all. This is that boom bap. That boom bap. It's the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media. And I like to introduce you. I, first of all, am the ear doctor, but your host for the day. We got Tierney Sharif. We got Kalanji Changa. We got Jackie Lukeman in the building right here, right now. Y'all, let's give it up.
1 2 1 2. What's happening?
Good morning.
How y'all feel out there?
It's rainy out here.
Okay. Must be
You
raining
gotta wake
everywhere.
up.
I know, right?
I know y'all sound like it's Monday, man. It's Tuesday.
I know.
I know it's Remix Monday. Y'all looking like, oh,
Wait, hold on.
That is not coffee.
Hold on. Okay, hey, y'all.
Okay. What's in my cup? That's gonna be a new segment on the Remix. What's in my cup? You know
What's in your cup, man?
Yeah. Shout out to Jackie in the building. Shout out to Tierney, Ear Doctor, Maze on the board. It's about to be a beautiful Remix Monday, or as you all say, Tuesday, here in the bowels of America. Anyway, how's everybody's weekend, man? What's good?
It was an interesting weekend.
What kind of trouble you got into, Jackie? I already know.
No, I didn't get in any trouble this weekend. You know, it's just sometimes it's just some days are a little rough, and I stay in bed. But I watched a lot of television this weekend. That's what happens when I'm in those kind of moods. So, me and the dog curled up under the covers, watched Squid Game, watched Midnight Mass, and watched what is this series on Epix called Fiasco about the Iran-Contra affair. So yeah, watched a lot of TV.
What is the Squid Game thing everybody keeps talking about?
So Squid Game is a Korean series, which is the Koreans make some crazy stuff. I mean, crazy as in really good. They're great at action movies. If you love action movies, their stuff is always over the top. But Squid Game is like this. It's like an analysis of basically like capitalism and corporate culture and inequality in Korea, and it is brutally violent. I mean, I like some good shoot 'em up movies, but this stuff was like it was shocking to me. But I mean, if you really want to see another culture and how they view inequality and capitalism and what they think of it, I think Squid Game is a really good example of that, and it's entertaining too.
Okay. Johnny
Sounds
come
like
lately in the building. What's good? Come out.
Okay. It's Jonathan in you.
Bubbles.
Okay. Right.
Bubble.
Toys.
Okay.
Cars.
Blaming it on the kids
All right.
again, huh?
Came with the whole toy box. Not a child in sight.
Scrunchies. I'm good.
Anyway.
That's all I
Tierney.
found in between my books today. That's all.
Oh Lord. Tierney, how was your weekend, man? We went from Jackie to Kamal, so that was already gonna be a problem out the gate.
That was good. It was my anniversary, so just
How many years, Tierney? 20? 30?
So we had 3 weddings. So legally
Tierney.
we've been married 6 years, and then we did the African engagement a month later, and then a year later we did a European wedding, which I kind of regret because it's like stupid, but no offense to anyone.
No.
Please defend.
I don't think anybody offended by that.
You never know who's watching, but yeah. So this was the anniversary, the one that we did. It was a bigger one that was like the white wedding.
Oh, so you just did another wedding just now?
No.
What was the third wedding?
Okay, so the first wedding was 6 years ago. We just went to the court or whatever.
Oh, okay.
The legal stuff done. Then we did the African engagement, which was like bigger, and then we did a bigger one that was like the European style wedding. That's the one I said we could have just did a bigger African wedding, and we would have been happy. But yeah,
I don't think that would do another wedding with me. I'm not sure about that.
That's gotta be some serious love. You talking about 3 weddings? I'm like, shit.
Yeah, man.
You get a mug to marry you one time, boy. It's one
it
time.
was more like a compromise, like because again at the time it was like you have different families, and you know you want to kind of include everyone's style of wedding. So yeah, that was basically what it was.
Hey, Kamal, I met your wife. You lucky you had one wedding.
Oh, then he pops off, right?
And
Then
he's
got
off.
He pops off.
There he
Off
goes.
to the races. Yeah. So the last one must have been for the drunk uncles and everything. Like this for the ghetto side of the family. So we're gonna say this last one. Y'all know that.
Actually, that literally happened at the last one. I had my uncle who tore it up. So yeah, I got some.
Ask Kalanji when in doubt.
Yeah.
Because he's usually that uncle. You know what I'm saying? He knows.
You know, some people you can't let into a serious African ceremony.
Right, exactly.
Man, I remember I was at my mom's birthday one year, her birthday party, and my drunk uncle came. So he looked over at me, had an African patch on the side of my sleeve. He said, "Look at this nigga, he think he African. He just a regular nigga like us," and just fell out laughing like I thought I was better than him because I was African. So yeah, shout out to all the drunk uncles out there. You know what I'm saying? My favorite uncle, Uncle Nearest. You know what I'm saying? Jackie looked like he visited her this weekend.
No, he did not. No.
Okay, okay.
No.
Just you and Brusky, huh?
No, it's
Shout
just
out
me.
to Brusky. The African dog.
The African dog. He's the African protectorate dog. Yes.
No doubt. This weekend was real dope. There's a lot of stuff that happened on BPM. You know what I mean? You had what happened BPM? We had Saturday debut Uncle Devin.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Our other favorite
show.
uncle.
A Black Power children's show.
Yeah, that was really neat. I liked it. I watched it. That was really neat.
Man,
I secretly watched it too without the kids. I didn't even ask them. I was like, leave me alone. I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm watching my show. I was like, oh, percussion instruments. Okay, I'm down with that.
And it was dope. I got caught singing. I was like, I'm like, what? You know, I'm like, maybe I could back them up or whatever.
No.
No, I didn't think so. But that was only a half hour. I think we need more of Uncle Devin. After that, I went to Balagoon's Warrior Class workshop. Shout out to the African Martial Arts Institute. Very nice turnout. 3-hour workshop went by like nothing. We learned how to get busy with claw hammers. I'm gonna tell you all.
Yeah.
If you didn't check that episode, definitely go back. I saw Jackie in the chat talking about she got a claw hammer. Be careful out in DC. If you see a short power lift out there with a with a hammer, it could be Jackie. You know what I'm saying?
Lifting cars with one hand and got the hammer with the other.
Clawing you with the hammer in the other. That's right.
Man. So yeah, that was definitely dope. I didn't get to check Sundays, but I heard it was dope as well. So definitely shout out to everybody that stopped through there. Yesterday, Riot Started TV was in effect. Interview in Walamu Baruti, speaking of Africa. So if any of you missed that particular interview, Riot Started TV was a real dope piece. And I learned a lot from him. And I've been knowing the brother for almost 20 years. But just on the beauty is when we talk about our upbringing, because oftentimes, like you see us now and you don't know what it took to make Jackie. When we investigated Jackie, we know damn well you came a long way.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah.
Look, there are no pictures and no videos, so I'm all right.
She said no pictures, no video. Kamal, speaking of pictures and videos, man, how was your weekend?
You asked me that like 5 minutes ago. But
did I?
Yeah, you did. Well, maybe just ask me what my day was like. What was my week? I mean, besides watching Uncle Devin, I keep wanting you now because of you. Anytime I say uncle, the next word out my mouth is like nearest. So I gotta reprogram.
He was Uncle Luke before that, so I appreciate you upgrade.
Step up.
Get it. So yeah, the weekend was hot. I mean, I mean, I lied. The weekend is always with the baby, so it's never a hot weekend anymore. There's no more hot weekends. Okay. I don't think I can use the phrase anymore. It's always just with the babies, you know. I'd have to live vicariously through somebody else who's having a hot weekend.
That sounds good. I don't know, but speaking of that, we got this video of Kamal. No, I'm joking. But anyway, so he's like, who got me?
Oh no.
Hey, shout out to the remixes. Good morning to you all. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you all checking us out and coming through on this earth. We know y'all have nothing in the world to do. Be hanging out with us on the Tuesday morning at 8:11 a.m. You know what I'm saying? But we happy to have you anyway. Anyway, what we got coming up today, man? It's gonna be a beautiful day. Bright and sunny, Tierney said. She said it was raining, but we're gonna flip that. We're gonna say it's bright and sunny. You know what I'm saying? Brusky's not barking in the background, so it seems like we're gonna be all right today.
Nope. I'm in the studio.
Is Sean Blackman going to join us today?
Sean, I don't think we have an early interview this morning, so he might not be sneaking by.
So wait a minute, we might get you for a whole 2 hours or only?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, my bad. I got all excited. You know what I'm saying?
Shut that down quick.
What?
No, I don't think
What?
so.
Like we had leprosy or something.
No,
She's
they don't.
Yeah, she was like, oh, hell
No,
no.
the editor in chief doesn't know I'm doing this.
Oh, okay. Moonlighting.
Yeah.
You think they don't know? They sitting there listening to it like, yeah.
They probably do.
Get the story right. That's why you be calling me to fill in. I'm like, man, I went from no interviews with Jackie to an interview every other week.
But see, I gotta put my people on. That's what we do. That's what we do.
You.
We get, you know,
by any means necessary. You like the
that's right. Everybody, I'm gonna hit everybody I know up on the whole crew for something. Wait for it, Tierney. We haven't had you on yet.
Tierney, welcome to the CIA radar.
That's right. We only have the best on by any means necessary. We don't fuck around. We deal with people who know what they're talking about and who we trust. So there we go.
I like that shameless plug that Jackie just did for
Shameless.
I
have
through the joint.
No shame, none whatsoever.
You did a collage on somebody else's podcast. I'm like, yes. And tomorrow on the Remix Morning Show, we asked you about police terrorism.
And that's
right. I was
right.
going to be talking about it tomorrow.
And did you check out Imprint of Imperialism on Friday? Did you?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I man, listen, I slipped. I got to go back and watch it. I heard it was extra dope with cherries on top.
That was it was cool. It was good to it's good to be back, you know, in the groove a little bit. You know, feels pretty good, and you know, especially since another shameless plug, today is my birthday. So
yep. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Why are you singing it like Uncle Nearest Kalanje?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I keep telling you, he's the one at the wedding. He's the one at the wedding.
Hey, somebody got to do it. What would you do if you wasn't me?
Well, that's true.
You know, it's crazy.
You're not gonna tell us your age? You gonna keep that?
Yeah. What's up?
No, yeah, I'm 55, and you know, normally I wouldn't say too much because I don't pay too much. Okay. I don't make a big deal about these kind of things, but you know, I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful this year, you know, to still be around.
Folks now. That's
you know, right. And just really thankful to be around and to be in the presence of really dope people. So thank you all a lot for all of your support and everything.
We are honored, and you're one of the good reasons that we like Jared. You know what I'm saying? He be fucking up.
Wait a minute. Wait.
He came through with the Luke Mons.
Oh my God.
All right, you're 55 and I'm 40. Okay.
Okay.
Oh Lord. You 40? You said you had a 40 today?
No,
early, brother.
38. That's what
Sir.
38.
Okay. Get up
39?
to Kamal, who lost his sense of counting. Apparently, being an attorney don't mean you got to know the count.
So not at all. That's why he chose law school.
I was wrong. There he is.
Sean
in the building.
Sean, don't be walking by, Sean. What's wrong with you? Why'd you put it on mute? Sean. We can't hear you, Sean. She put you on mute, Sean. I can't hear you. You're on mute, Sean. Are you just staring at the camera, Sean? Take the mute off.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. What the hell is going on? See, this would never happen by any means necessary. This would never happen. You on mute again.
What's
so when
happening?
you make your guest debut as a co-host?
Oh, that's true.
See, they were just asking about you, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think we have an early interview.
Y'all prayed me up. Yeah, we got a 9 o'clock joint.
See. So now, see, I told you I couldn't do it for 2 hours. Y'all think I'd be playing?
But Sean,
I have a job.
When you make your guest debut as a co-host?
What do you mean? As co-host on Black Power Media?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what you want right now. The remix, yeah.
Hey, I mean, it looked like I'm doing it. What's the topic?
You like cut the check.
But he's
Right, you know what I'm saying?
I love his radio voice. I know it's your natural voice, but I love his radio voice.
Yeah,
you know, but the best, like you couldn't be. I mean, I know you're an organizer too, but you couldn't do anything else but do something on the air with that voice of yours.
Yeah, that's a fact. Because I ain't good at most things. You know
Knock it off, brother.
And I ain't that tall, so I guess you know I was.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay.
I feel like I'm taller than you, and I'm 5'9.5". Are you stretching that out a little bit?
No, man, I'm 5'9", dog.
I see some
strong
pictures. You look a little
5'9".
small, shorter than 5'9".
I'm 5'10", so
5'10". You mean with your locks? You're 5'10".
What?
why y'all hating on the guard, man? Stop
He's
playing.
5'10" when he go like this. He
That's
puts his hand
Wow. See, y'all colder than the white man. Speaking of colder than the white man, where's that guy, the DJ at, man? The ear doctor.
Oh my
Yeah,
Think of
God.
that echo you got.
colder than the
That's
white
your
man.
echo, brother.
Not my echo. It's your echo.
It's Jackie.
What?
Jackie's echo is on.
Oh, yeah, that's because I have the thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all good.
Yep.
What's good, fam?
What's happening?
Everything's good. We about to that was a nice transition there, Kalanji. Anyway, we about to go ahead and get into the weather report right about now. So let's do that.
Remix in the building.
Yeah. It's the weather report. Yo, it's the weather report. Whether you know it or not, it's the weather report. Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show, and I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And right about now, it's time for me to give y'all the weather report. But first, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all join. Make sure y'all tell a friend to tell a friend every Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. that the Remix Morning Show is on. And we got a plethora of other shows that you may want to make sure y'all come and check out. So with that said, let me get y'all with the weather report. And go to patreon.com and drop some change on Black Power Media. All right, bam. So where we going to go first? Well, we here in Atlanta, so let's go ahead and give you that weather right here in the A. The weather, the high today is rain and the high is 71. Only 71 degrees today. So that's kind of, it is what it is. I guess that's real fall weather coming up, as you can see behind me. And then next, let's go to a place. I always love this word, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico has a high today of 80 degrees. I got put on the Albuquerque, I think, because what was that show where they was selling all that meth in the trailer parks? Anyway, I'm sure y'all know. Put it in the comments. Next, let's go to Trinidad, Cuba. Trinidad, Cuba has a high today of 88 degrees. And then next, let's go over to Nairobi, Kenya, to the motherland, where they have a high today of 79 degrees. And then let's take it to a place called South America Island, Alaska. Have y'all ever heard of that? It's a South American island in Alaska. So North America is Alaska, I guess. Canada, blah, blah, blah. But then you got North America, and then you got South America. I'm kind of confused. But anyway, they got a high today of 32 degrees. Whew. And listen, that's pretty cold. That's colder than the white man right there. But it's kind of cold as pretty much all the people that was sitting behind their screens yesterday mad because they couldn't get on Facebook or Instagram. Now, people, we got to realize that sometimes, people had actual businesses set up to do stuff on these days, and they couldn't do it because they was down. That's that platform. So we got to realize, listen, are we going to continue or are we going to find something else? Let's kind of check out my man Isaac Hayes III, who has a platform called Fanbase. Maybe we should check that out and support our own. That's all I got to say today for the weather report. Let's get back to the morning show with our hosts right about now. Let's go. All right. Yeah.
Wait a minute. What's the parts of the continent, B? There's
what?
What's the parts of the continent? There's North America, then there's America, and then it might be South America.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. How do you have a South America island in Alaska.
That's deep.
That's
Echo.
deep.
There's an echo going on. I don't know where the echo is coming from, but yeah, sounds.
I left
good
y'all
now.
speechless, so I'll just leave on that note.
I decided to leave it alone. There's no cure for what you got. There's no cure.
I wanted to be speechless for that one.
He said there's
Anyway.
America, there's North America, and there's.
It might be America.
Kind of pause. He was like,
Speaking of that, we need to go to the globe because clearly we don't know geography.
there is no globe, but go ahead, do your news.
Welcome to the Remix Morning Show, your favorite morning show on the whole planet. That's my rival Sean Blackman voice right there. Shout out to Sean Blackman. Stop through the remix this morning.
No rivaling that voice.
Hey, that's I can't get it right. Let me see.
If he could sing, he'd be like, the next Barry White and shit. You know what I mean?
I know he got to be able to sing, man. Come on, man.
His official name, according to Abdus Lukman, is Sean the Voice Blackman. That's his real name.
Okay, Sean the Voice Blackman. Shout out to Abdus. He always throwing rocks and darts. You know what I'm saying? My main man. Anyway, we got a lot of things going on today. I know Jackie trying to cut out early, so we're gonna hit you with her story, and then we're gonna roll from there.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this big release of financial documents called the Pandora Papers. This is the third leak from this organization called the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, or ICIJ. They're the same people who were responsible for the Panama Papers, and I forget the name of the leak before this one, but they're talking about how this is like the biggest ever leak that exposes financial secrets of the super rich. Well, I mean, there's value in it, right? There is certainly something that we should understand about the way filthy rich people, and especially politicians, folks like Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, and Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of Kenya, with him and his family hiding millions of dollars in offshore accounts, and talking about he's anti-corruption and that kind of foolishness. The President of Ukraine, who is a U.S.-backed puppet. There is value in understanding that these political leaders are not honest about their own finances, and that they're actively using these offshore accounts with shady tracing to hide a lot of money from transparency and honestly taxation, which means they're hiding money, they're keeping money from their own people, right? But here's the interesting thing about this release. There is almost no mention of any U.S. politician. If you can see this tweet here by Philip Gorovich, I don't know who this person is, it's just embedded in this article, who asks the question, why so few U.S. names in the Pandora Papers? Largely because U.S. itself is a spectacularly corrupt tax haven, and financial experts said the uber rich in the U.S. tend to pay such low tax rates that they have less incentive to seek offshore tax havens. I personally don't believe that is entirely true. Not that the U.S. is not a corrupt tax haven. Of course it is. The rich have absolutely no incentive in this country to pay taxes because, I mean, look at what Donald Trump did with the last tax law, and look how many loopholes the rich and the uber rich have to use at their disposal to not pay taxes, to pay a lot fewer taxes than you and me. But I don't think it's true that the rich in the United States, especially politicians, don't use offshore tax havens to hide their money. I think they do. So while I find value in this release, just like the Pandora Papers and the one before it, I found it especially interesting that the release before this one exposed the Queen of England investing in the British equivalent of Rent-A-Center. And just this company that sells shit to poor Britons for like ridiculous interest rates, and she invests in it. I thought that was interesting. So there's value in these kinds of releases, but I'm also suspicious of the fact that there are no U.S. politicians, particularly. We know about Bezos, we know about Elon Musk, we know about Bill Gates, but there are no U.S. politicians and political donors in the release of these documents. And I'm suspicious about that because I don't believe these people don't use offshore tax havens to hide their money. So I'm wondering what's that about. And I just think as we look at these kinds of releases, we keep in mind what's not being told. We always say sometimes it's more important what they're not saying than what they do say in these kinds of exposés. So just something to think about, I think, in the release of these documents.
Wow. I can't believe that Jackie is suggesting that these good white Americans would use offshore accounts to hide their thievery. I mean, are you suggesting that, Jackie? Kamal, I mean,
slightly.
Kamal, are you believing that these good white folks in America?
I don't want to demonize good white Christians, but
Okay. I got to ask the ear doctor: is that North America, South America, or the other America?
Just the America.
Just America.
What stood out for me, one part of it was the Jordanian king, because he had just done an edict. This is he just did an edict around cracking down on corruption and offshore hiding of money, and then his name was listed. And then what they did was they blacked out all the news sources in Jordan that reported on the release of these papers. So, and Jordan is a particular country that, a close U.S. ally, a close Israeli ally. And for decades, it's been promising democracy for its people, but it's been slow crawling any semblance of democracy, of course, because as we know, the rich will really never give up anything. People with titles are not going to give up titles unless they're forced to do it by the masses from below. But he just stuck out to me because it's like for years or decades, this guy likes to prop himself up as some savior of Middle Eastern moderation, I guess. But he also got caught red-handed, as would be expected, pilfering resources from his own country and buying huge estates overseas. So.
Yeah, man. And I like the point about who's missing. I actually am surprised it's only Uhuru Kenyatta out of all the neo-colonial puppets inside of Africa, because we know like so many of them are also engaged in certain things. I'm surprised Paul Biya wasn't a part of this. I'm surprised we haven't heard about Paul Kagame. I mean, there's just so many that we know are also engaging inside of these types of behaviors. So. I did think it's interesting that Kenyatta was the one that was implicated just because of the stark inequality inside of Kenya. In particular, right now, they're facing, they said 2.1 million people are facing starvation inside of Kenya. And so these contradictions, are just so stark because you have someone who's hiding billions of dollars offshore accounts, and yet so many people literally starving, can't even eat. And his remark about it was actually interesting because, like you stated, he's always trying to hide or trying to promote anti-corruption. And essentially, he basically was celebrating the release, which was odd because he was saying this should lead to more transparency. So yeah, it's a lot of contradictions flowing.
Sometimes you got to double down. You just got to double down. You don't got to explain. You just double down on your shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It reminds me of what's homeboy named Colin Ferguson on the train when he's in the courtroom. Do you see the man who shot you?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. I mean, I think that, I mean, and for all practical purposes, you know, fuck the U.S. politicians. These slimy cats in Africa on the continent who rob their own people, and literally, you said 2.1 million people starving in Kenya right now, and you're living high in the hog, literally. I mean, those are the folks that I mean, literally, they need to be roasted, man, because
Yeah.
it's like, and whatever way roasted sounds good for you. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't make sense that we have to literally eat the rich. Like, look, get them out of here, man. I mean, that's just it's criminal. Uhuru Kenyatta, man, it's like, come on, man. And your name is Uhuru on top of that.
Right. Yeah, his family is hiding $30 million. And I guess
Wow.
in the context of corrupt, filthy rich politicians, that may not sound like a lot of money. But as Tierney pointed out, to those people in Kenya, who that's life. That's life. That is life and death. So, you know, pass on the
Another,
Lowry seasoning, man.
another interesting side note for me was the celebrated way in which these papers are released. When mainstream media gets to be the focal point of how these papers are released, as opposed to a few years ago
Exactly.
when WikiLeaks was releasing things and they became the devil because they didn't necessarily do it in conjunction with all of these mainstream outlets, and so they basically do the same thing that this other consortium is doing by either people are sending documents which expose things, and then this group wants to be celebrated for it and wants to win all their internal prizes for it. But when they don't control the narrative, and or when it does hit home a little bit more, as part of the WikiLeaks leaks have always done, they've hit different places, but they've certainly hit hard on the United States, as opposed to some of these papers, right? So when they've hit hard on the United States, the U.S. media, instead of sort of reprinting and celebrating to the same amount, also picked up on spurious charges or potential spurious charges against its founder. Agreed with the backlash against him. Obviously, agreed with the West hunting and tracking him down and holding him in prison and possibly extraditing him, and destroying his individual life as a warning to whistleblowers. And the Western media did not parade around press or media freedoms to suggest that this person should be freed and is being targeted for what they did, but instead, of course, promoted that narrative that he's some dangerous creature, because he did put them at the center of the leak. So that's also something as an interesting side note, I think, to keep track of.
Yes. America the Beautiful. Speaking of corruption, uh, homeboy, what's his name? Uh, Ho, excuse me.
Did you see? Bless you. I don't know what the hell happened. Just
That
What?
was-
what's going on?
I was thinking of
Who's
Biden
home?
and I said Ho instead of Co. Um, top state department officials resigning from the Biden administration, penning a scathing memo on his way out. They criticized the administration's use of a Trump era regulation that allows the government to deport illegal immigrants. In the memo obtained by Politico, State Department senior advisor Harold Koh assailed the administration's use of the Trump era Title 42 as inhumane. He said it's simply not worth this administration that I so strongly support. And he said that in a memo that was dated on October 2nd. Title 42, of course, gives the administration the ability to bar people from entering the country during a health crisis such as COVID-19 pandemic. The Biden administration has used it to deport thousands of migrants without giving them a chance to seek asylum. Uh, Critics of the policy, such as Cole, contend that it is unlawful. And he said, I believe that this administration's current implementation of the Title 42 authority continues to violate our legal obligation not to expel or return individuals who fear persecution, death, or torture, especially migrants fleeing from Haiti. Um, yeah, so again, this is another member of the Biden administration that decided that he's going to take flight because of the fact that, I guess he feels that his political career is not over and he want to be able to come in the next, um, the next Democratic administration or whatever. He want to act like he has some morals, so on and so forth, as if he didn't know who the hell Biden was out the gate. So it's a lot of ship jumping. In fact, he compared the what the Bidens are doing, what Biden is doing, the Biden administration to what Trump has done. And he said, it's immoral, and we have to find a better way, fellow Americans. So I'm out of here. Any thoughts on Mr. Cole?
Well, I'm glad you pointed out that it wasn't a sincere move, but it's calculated, because any person entering into a federal government top executive position, one, the history of the country, like the history of like what the U.S. has done in Haiti, but two, you're very much vetted, before you're put inside of these positions. So if you're vetted, that means they know your politics. They know that you're going to be agreeable to these policies. And then if you're jumping ship now, it's only because of the bad press. And I thought that with all of the resignations, similar to when people were resigning under Trump, we're supposed to believe these people that were not vetted for their conservative sympathies, and all of a sudden they're jumping ship. So, I don't celebrate, anyone who, unless, you completely are going to go all out and, release everything and try to really put pressure and really shine a light on all of the things that the United States government has done. I don't really, put too much emphasis on their decisions to resign.
And I think that, as importantly, the policies have been consistent. A lot of the policies have been consistent between so-called evil Trump and so-called moderate liberal Biden, which is always the case. Again, we get cranked up during these elections that there's this huge difference between these two characters, and then you see the continuity of policy that comes in immigration and foreign affairs and some domestic policies that were the same as the predecessor. The same statements that Biden, people have pointed out the hypocrisy of Biden talking about Trump's policies when it comes to immigration, but again, implementing those same and keeping those same policies in place. What now, 7, 8 months, 10 months into his regime, shows the hypocrisy of this idea that we're choosing lesser of two evils, right? We're really just choosing someone else who's putting maybe a more polite face on imperialism, on capitalist operations, on U.S. Oppression of Black folks and other immigrants, Black folks who are immigrants and Black folks domestically. So, you have a lot of continuity of programming, and then you have some things that are like, around the edges being changed. But I think that's important also to point out the ways in which these policies remain particularly symmetric in terms of how they continue to carry on administration after administration after administration.
What's worse than that is the level of insanity amongst the American people. We act like Biden just crawled out the gravesite for this last election. He has a history of this. You know what I'm saying? We act like the Obama administration's treatment towards Haitians and other migrants wasn't the same, and like he wasn't the vice president, and like he didn't serve the United States government for the last 3-4 decades. You know what I'm saying? It's the same dude. It's like, when you get in the White House, you're suddenly transformed and now I'm a new guy. I mean, this is crazy that we even entertain, you know what I'm saying, as far as the people. Like, this dude's history says what it is. In fact, to a great extent, this is one of the less egregious acts that he's committed. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, like what's where we at, America? Is this North America, South America, or the other America? We wilding out, man. Come on, you are muted right there, man.
No, I was just laughing about the American comment again.
We got to do better, man. This is madness. Anyway, Kamal, I know that a lot of folks were sad yesterday, man. It was like, look, I'm trying to post my favorite IG picture. I want the thirst trap on Facebook. You know what I mean? And some reason, something wrong with my internet. What happened, Kamal?
Apparently, Facebook went down yesterday, and millions of people, like you said, they couldn't post their puppy pictures, their dog pictures. I guess on a more serious note, because of the way that Facebook is intertwined itself in worldwide commerce, folks lost some of their abilities. And we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, the Messenger, and several others, I guess. But, folks lost their ability to do business. to contact each other. A lot of folks use WhatsApp as their main way of making international calls. And, so it's being pointed out that sort of the interconnectedness between Facebook and a way in which people, I guess, engage each other these days. So that's one of the things that took place. But I mean, if people got to look up from their computers for a few hours, and they should be more grateful, because maybe they have to see what outside looks like for a few more minutes. And then they said the other thing was that many people went from Facebook to Twitter because they had to have some social media, of course, to engage in during that time period.
Yeah, and it impacted StreamYard as well because of the fact that yesterday, like I said, we did this. We broadcast through StreamYard for going through Facebook as well. So we had issues. Even when I did the broadcast with the Riot Starter TV thing yesterday, I couldn't even end the broadcast. So the broadcast was going on and on and on. It was over. An hour and some change later, I'm still trying to press in. Like, man, did I lose this? Like, it's crazy. Couldn't download it. I left the studio, came back in, it's still recording. I was like, man, this shit's gonna use up all our valuable time here at Black Power Media. But
what's weird is that Facebook, I think, is and Tyranny could probably respond to this part. For certain, I guess millennials, right? Facebook is no longer relevant. Maybe it's been like that for 5 to 7 to 10 years. But internationally speaking, Facebook is still, it's probably its growth area is still internationally, but amongst sort of here in the United States and I guess other Western nations or whatever like that, it's just considered like passe or whatever.
Yeah, I know I only specifically use Facebook for activist type things, like when I'm trying to post to WCC's page or something. A long time ago, I just fell out of love with the app. And the other thing, I don't know if y'all seen, but there was also a data breach, and I'm wondering, like, are these two things connected? I think they said, I think it was 2.1 billion Facebook users had their information hacked or something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be a coincidence to me. So I'm really curious, like, what's the connection there?
Now that right there, and I heard that. So what would be worse than the whole Facebook situation as far as the whole data breach would be WhatsApp, because like you said, this is like, this is the mode of communication with like Kamal mentioned, folks on the international level, particularly activists. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of stuff that goes through there. And I can only imagine, like, look, somewhere there was a hole in the project. So we'll see. So this is another lesson for folks too, man. Do not leave your important things. If you don't have a backup for your social media pictures and all that and your information, then you best try to get one, because of the fact that you cannot rely on these people's system. Because really, to be honest with you, I mean, for all we know, it could have been a test run. They're like, look, how are these people going to react? How are they going to operate? They claim that Mark Zuckerberg lost about $6-something billion. That was on purpose, by the way, in advertisement. Now I don't know how true that is or whatever, but
oh, I'm sure it's true. I'm sure. I mean, but he'll make it up, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like his loss is not a loss. His loss is
it's not like that's going to like stay that way or something like that.
Yeah, BPM lost $6. That's what that means. Man.
That's the equivalent where that would be.
Like so.
But yeah, I mean, look, 15 years ago, we all existed without this stuff. But it does feel like the world is so connected in this way that people, because sometimes I don't understand all the hearings and all that around Facebook. And I was like, isn't it like voluntary? Can't you just like not use it?
Yeah.
But I also understand like the way in which it's now, all of us, it's like crept into our lives. It's a way in which we contact each other again, how we socialize, again, how we spread political information. And then for the most part, it's unregulated. And for the most part, those folks take our data and they make their money by providing this platform, taking that data and then selling that data to advertisers and so forth. And again, without really, they claim they're getting our permission because like everything else, you checkbox something that's like 400 pages long that no one's going to read. But really what they're doing is, they give us this platform that we keep our eyeballs on. They, like you said, they use our data, they sell our data, they make their profits. Our data gets hacked. People get access to the information that we never intended them to get, not just like pictures and stuff like that, but actual things as far as like, social security, addresses, phone numbers, and the rest of it, where they can easily track us and use it for other nefarious purposes. So people just think they're sharing puppy pictures, but really they're sharing so much more.
Yeah. But I think that, and both of you as my senior organizers can maybe give us some advice. There has to be like a necessary I don't know, elder. I don't know. What's the more respectful?
Thanks, Tierney.
Neither.
Go get married for a fourth time.
You're big brothers by like maybe
how about that?
A couple of years.
No, but seriously though, like the necessary conversation that, it's a hard conversation. Like, how do we organize without not saying like we abandon the platforms, because I think that we recognize they have a specific purpose, but also recognizing there has to be an intentional effort to find an alternative way to organize, even if it's completely underground. And that's something that I know I struggle with in our organization, because we are really dependent on social media. And yet, it's given us so many benefits to connect with people. But if everything did shut down, I don't know what we would do.
Well, beyond like social media, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go backwards. Before social media, you had listservs. You know what I mean? So which were probably a tad bit better because of the fact that you can kind of monitor a little bit more who you're inviting on to your listservs and whatnot. They can become lengthy, but at the same time, there wasn't a whole bunch of photos and all that type of stuff. If you want a listserv, for the most part, you were sharing news, at least the listservs that I was on. But going back to that good old ground organizing, which to me is still my absolute favorite, because of the fact that you get to engage people. And I think that's the difference as far as the whole social media piece is, like, you really don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, we chat with the folks in the chat room every day, and I know that there's some good people, but we also know that some of these people might not be good people, might not be here for the interests of us. You know what I mean? But when you're face to face, you can feel people's energy a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I still like the whole flyers thing. I still like the canvassing, the going door to door and getting to know people one-on-one. But we'd have to go back to that.
Yeah, I'll add, the platforms aren't going away. What'll happen is there's going to be new platforms, different platforms. Energy is going to be shifted away from things like a Facebook to a Twitter, and down the line from a Twitter to a Clubhouse, or from a Clubhouse to something else. So I think these platforms are part of not only our people's personal lives, but they're going to be part of people's organizing lives. So I say use them wisely. I agree with Kalonji. Don't ever give up the one-on-one contact and or the individual contact. But let's be serious. How was you going to? You can reach 5,000, 6,000 people, and so people take that as a potential win or a potential way to get our messages out. And some of these platforms, as much dirty as they do, they've been used in other contexts for folks to spread the word and get people out in the streets. So I think they're a part of who we are as organizers. And the Black Panthers were infiltrated; they had no social media. So so it's not just the social media that causes us the strife. It's the fact that we have enemies out there who, no matter what platforms or non-platforms we use, are looking to destroy our message, because our message is counter to capitalism, imperialism, oppression, and so forth. And so those enemies are going to be out there no matter what we use. Obviously, precautions need to be taken. But yeah, that's just the way of life, I feel.
No doubt. And I agree with both of you, but along with that, organize locally. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I see so many organizations that, they're huge on the internet, but then when you go to their cities, no one knows where to find them. They don't even exist. There's no base. There's no, they don't even, at least I think that when it comes to organizers like Kamal, myself, and others, it's like, at least if you come to Atlanta, if you go to a couple of events, someone can tell you how to find us. You know what I'm saying? If you go to some cultural locations, some spots or whatever, someone can point you in a direction and say, okay, boom. You don't even have to have our number. You come to Atlanta, if you're dealing with any organizers that are considered serious, then someone's going to be in contact with someone who can reach. So to me, that's that talking drum. That's that grapevine right there, because of the fact that you know where to find the people at. It's just like in any situation. If you are a person who's addicted to plantation poison, the drugs, or whatever, you know what I mean? You know you go to whatever city, whatever town, you know where to find the folks who are on these different drugs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's the same principle. It's just like you're going to find.
I'll quickly say, because I really do be salty sometimes. I'd be looking at somebody's social. I was like, they got like how many followers? It's like that group don't do no work. I've never seen them do nothing. They'd be raising thousands of dollars online. I'd be like, I'm gonna hold my tongue, but inside I'm going like, what the hell is going on?
it gets crazy, but and you know the ill thing that I found is like, and talking to a lot of the OGs and a lot of the folks who are quote unquote legit organizers, and this ain't no slight or diss to nobody else, but they usually have the least numbers on social media and whatnot because of the fact that they're busy building the social environment. They're busy out in the community. So it's like, you know, if you do follow them, it's an organic thing. But let's keep it real. Some of our main OGs are not, you know, they ain't up on, I mean, most folks I know, they can hardly email. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you download this? Like my mother, how can you come download? No, that's not a download. That's just that's a tweet. Why are you on Twitter anyway? But anyway, yeah, so we're going to make it in spite of ourselves. But definitely we kind of need to be tested. And that's a part of our whole survival as well. Just, you know, how can we survive without our cell phones? You know what I mean? Because we come from an era where this thing didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the thought of us walking around with a personal phone and a personal computer was like it was so foreign and it's so unbelievable. We probably would have thought that they would have had flying cars before you could walk around with a cordless phone. Because I remember when cordless phones came out, that was huge. Like, yo, I got a cordless phone. Like, oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? I remember my father bought a microwave. It came with this big ass book. You thought you could cook anything in a microwave. You could bake a cake. You could roast. You could roast something. You know what I mean? So that's just, you know. So we gotta survive without all these extras that we always did. But anyway, speaking of survival, we have the brother with the ears, who's the doctor.
We don't know what continent he's on, but go ahead.
We in the Americas. How about that?
Well, that would have been better. That would have been better. You could have said that. You could have really got away with that.
Yeah. Yo, I just be looking at these maps and I'll be looking like north, south. It's a lot of America. Okay. Anyway, Tierney, did you know that there was a time where we had to go home and use the phone?
I think I was alive during that time. Okay.
Yeah. What about payphones? You had like payphone? You remember payphones?
Payphones. So you had
I remember payphones. I'm 30, so I've seen a little.
Was it a dime or a quarter? Was it a dime or a quarter?
Nah, but that's real, man. How do people react?
You remember the song called "Here's a Dime, Call Me Anytime"? That was real. It was a dime.
I mean, it was a nickel at one point.
Really?
I don't remember
that. Hey, yo, come on. Remember they used to have
Kalaji, tell us how Jesus wept again.
Hey, he was first he was on The Other America, and then he came on.
Word.
Hey, with Claretta.
Word, real quick, I'm gonna take y'all back to a BPM flashback, so let's get with it.
Let's go. Remix in the building.
Word. What's good, everybody? That's crazy. I mean, people nowadays act like they're gonna die if they don't find their phone, if they left their phone somewhere, and just like go hysterical. It's like a new drug. It's wild. And I remember back in the 90s, we was talking about, you know, they're gonna put a chip in your arm and blah, blah, blah. Now you got a chip in your pocket. So everywhere you go, somebody already know about it. So they got us. They got us good. But check this out. I'm gonna take y'all to a Black Power Media flashback. Talking about the Americas. We're gonna take you to the Midwest and talk about what's still going on in Flint. And if y'all don't know anything about environmental racism, I believe right here is a good something that you can watch and really have a good conversation about it. And this was on the Black Miss podcast. So check this out real quick. Bam.
I believe that, environmental racism could be the cutting down of the trees in Tallahassee and the erasure of green space, because environmental amenities are so important to a community. And I think that a lot of Black communities has been systematically deprived of green spaces in which they can live and play and exercise. And so it may have started there, but then certainly when there was a decision made to site this industrial facility in Tallahassee and expose the community to these harmful toxins that manufacturers knew they were producing. And like James said, I think that the state government is also an important player in this scenario, because the state does have say over where these large companies end up locating through the incentives they're able to provide.
Right.
And so a lot of times, the state makes a decision on where they're going to site these facilities, and they often choose to place them in Black communities.
Yeah, I know we did an episode on a local. I mean, most of us are based out of Indianapolis, except for Cameron, who chooses to live in the South. But but we did a show about a situation in Indianapolis, and it wasn't based on any type of environmental effects. But it's interesting how this was just simple, old school displacement. They built a highway right through the hood, just moved everybody out. But they were able to do that because segregation obviously lowers the property value of the homes, and obviously just lowers the value that people see Black people in general, and it just makes it easier to push a highway through that versus a neighborhood that's affluent and white, right? Like that's easy. So in this case, it's similar where we can put a plant by some poor rural.
As you can see right there, pretty much it's a very, very good episode on talking about Flint and the abnormalities of it. It's still going on, so it's crazy. So bring it back to the morning crew and talk about a little bit, see what they know about this environmental racism. Let's get back to it. Black Power Media, y'all. Yeah.
I like
Good
Black
stuff.
Myth. Yeah.
Yes, shout out to the Young Guns Black Myth podcast. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate folks like them and Tyranny, some of the younger organizers out there who are keeping things in perspective. So definitely shout out to them. Also, shout out to the brother Dr. Jared Ball, who had 3 shows since the last remix, and we forgot to mention the brother. And absolutely, he reminded me. He like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Ain't he supposed to be teaching the class?
I mean, he
Exactly,
multitasking, man.
Exactly.
He's provocative. You know,
I was going to say too about this Black Myth piece is, when I obviously environmental racism is real, but the also like the other flip of that is the greening space thing also becomes this entryway. Like, on one hand, the environmental racism means they're putting dirty things or unclean things or in Black neighborhoods. But then when they talk about having green spaces in Black neighborhoods, the other jeopardy is that what they're really doing is starting to clear the way for gentrification. So I know there's a needle to thread there, but I always get worried now when I hear too much green spaces in Black communities, because for me, instead of thinking about, they're going to provide more parks for our kids, more outdoor activities, it seems to be a paving of the way for, these large scale projects, which no one even asked for in the community. And then all of a sudden there's like these dog parks and other things. It's like, we never need no dog parks, but we ain't taking our dogs to dog parks. And they become these entree points for white folks to start coming in and gentrifying neighborhoods. And it's like, oh, look, we can do something with this. So I'm always a little skeptical of too much green space talk too, in a weird way. So
no doubt. Hey, man, but I mean, really, to be honest with you, it's so unfortunate that, everything is suspect these days because of the fact that, it takes us back to white folks coming to civilize the savages, the Europeans coming to civilize Africans and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that ain't, I mean, we know how this goes. You know what I'm saying? They're the missionaries of North America right now. You know what I'm saying? They come into your neighborhoods and everything's been so terrible and there's been so much shooting and gun violence and all of that. And all of a sudden you look up and the same neighborhood that it was difficult for you and I to come through. You know what I mean? 5 years later, you have white women jogging at 2 o'clock in the morning and everything's cool. You know what I mean? And everyone should feel safe in their neighborhoods. But unfortunately, even when you're black in your own neighborhood, if you don't have to contest with the social criminals, you have to deal with the state themselves. The police are pulling you over, asking you, what are you doing there? I remember we shooting a music video at my sister Todd's, Beretta Scott's house. We're all outside, and all of a sudden, her neighborhood was gentrified. She was over in a section that's been highly gentrified in Atlanta. And all of a sudden, this white woman comes out and asks us, while we're doing the video, she moved there maybe like a year before. What are you guys doing here? I turned around and said, what are you guys doing here? So she turned it all pink and shit like that. I'm like, you have some audacity to even inquire about what someone's doing here, as if we are the
newcomers, the folks who just got here,
like
the folks who don't know the culture, the background, what's been happening on the block. Like this famous story, this famous thing like in Harlem when the gentrification started, now like over a decade ago, where every morning they call it Marcus Garvey Park, there'd be drummers on Saturday mornings. It's like drummers in the park, and it was just considered part of the scheme of things that happened in Harlem in that particular park during that time period. And then when they started building these condos and the white folks moved in Morningside Park, I think it's the official name of it or whatever, but these white folks moved in, and then they started calling the police because they were like the drumming was too loud for them.
I mean, and
that's real quick. That's even going on. In case y'all didn't catch Sundays, I did a little history lesson on go-go music. Like even in DC, they're like, listen, that go-go music got to go. It's too loud. And I want to know this question, Kamal, Dylan. When some people ask you, like, listen, y'all had this neighborhood for the longest. Y'all ain't do nothing with it. Now white people come in and they start fixing it up and prettying it up. And now y'all mad because y'all ain't do nothing with this community this whole time. And now when we come to fix it up, y'all mad. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, because I think it's a false dichotomy, right? It's like it's somehow suggesting that we were actually in control of the neighborhood before the white folks took it over, where the working class and poor black folks usually reside in these communities have never been really in control of it, right? And these politicians, which supposedly represent black folks, don't represent black folks. They represent the interests of developers, the interests of rich white folks, middle class black folks, and they're just folks who are in between to tell us on the download to calm the fuck down, or to just, we got your back, right? Buffers, and even if they don't, right? So for me, it's not like, it's not even a real question, because we've never had control of the neighborhood to begin with. Because if we had control of the neighborhood, if we had access to the resources, then we would be able to design communities the way we'd like to design them. But we don't control the police who come into our neighborhoods. Again, we control the resources that come into our neighborhoods. And when they decide that it's time to flip the neighborhood, it's not like some decision we all sat down and made together. They decide, they being, again, developers and politicians, that it's time to flip a neighborhood. Then they flip it, and then they create their own narratives as to, the destitute, the poverty. It's really development. To me, development is not, when people say, oh, it says some things about gentrification that are good, that really means they have no understanding of gentrification, and who really are just making excuses, because gentrification is not about development. Development and gentrification are not the same thing. And the way development happens, if it's not attuned to a particular community's interest to keep them there, but it's usually something that's done to push folks out, then we have to know that development is not for the people who are there, but it's for the purposes of moving in, again, usually a management class of white folks who are working to these like bigger corporations. They want some spaces to go. They no longer want to live in the suburbs. They want some modern, they want some Starbucks. They want some amenities that they think are going to like serve their purposes. The first time you see dog parks in Black neighborhoods, you can damn well bet the next thing is to push Black folks out. When you see the Starbucks, you know it's to push Black folks out. Those things are not meant for us.
Listen, when I see them walking their dog down the block, I'll be like, they coming.
They're there when you see them walking their dog down the block. But these, to Kamal's point, the local politicians are the Uhuru Kenyatas of the community. These are the same Negroes that sell out. They're the cats that get the chump change. They're the bottom feeders, the local politicians. You know what I'm saying? If they had the juice and the money and the wherewithal to be Uhuru Kenyatta, they would be that. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, they're the nickel bag hustlers on the block. You know what I'm saying? They ain't pushing weight, they moving dimes. But at the same time, they'll sell the community out to the highest bidder. And when you're talking about the whole gentrification situation, it's done in different ways. You know what I mean? Either they'll push them out through raising the property taxes. The property taxes are so astronomical that folks can't even deal with it. They're raising, coming up with all different types of new ordinances and zoning laws and all types of things. And before long, you can't afford to even live in a community. And at the same time, like you said, these white folks come along talking about, oh, well, we came to build up. No, this is land grab. That's like telling the natives of this land that we came here to help you all because y'all was running around, you ain't had no clothes on, you know what I'm saying? You ain't have no bill, y'all living in teepees. Man, how can you do that? And they've been living here comfortably for hundreds of thousands of years, everything cool, but all of a sudden you come along with your white ass to save the savages. You know what I'm saying? You coming to help us, but they never help us.
In the words of my 5% brothers and sisters, thanks for making knowledge born. I gotta understand the better of that. Appreciate it. I'll catch y'all later.
Okay. Anyway,
no, I think you're totally correct. Like that analogy, that's what it is. It's like these folks are coming in, and again, I don't want to say anything's innate, but there's this mental attitude of we're here to improve, we're here to make better. We have these good advices, like whatever your lifestyle is, it's not good enough, whatever. And I'm not saying obviously that because the things that happen in our neighborhoods, you know, that are poverty-stricken neighborhoods, like that's not, you know, that's a culture that's been developed out of poverty, right? And part of the struggle is sort of shedding that culture and getting back to some real culture that we invent, we control, and so forth and so on. But those, if we could be left alone, you know what I mean? It's like that's us to work out. We'll work that out. Nobody's asking you to work it out. We just basically the idea is like we want to be left the fuck alone. But you can't do that, right?
How about that?
And the fact that you can't do that makes you our enemy, per se.
Period. But you know, the ill shit about it is like, you know, from one regard, it is the psychological damage, because you have to be really fucked up in the head for you to be so narcissistic that you think that you can come along and save or help a situation that you help to cause. You understand what I'm saying? You help cause the poverty that exists inside of the particular neighborhoods. And it's like you'll go fuck up another neighborhood, or you'll find out that you've been living in this particular community so long that, you know, you found out that there's an environmental issue or whatever. So now you want to move close to the city because it's the hip thing to do. Now it's cool to have the graffiti and the arts, and hip hop is a good thing and all of that. And, you know, you want to enjoy the culture. Now the ill shit about it is they love Black culture, but they don't love Black people. You understand what I'm saying? Unless you want to adopt a little Black girl, adopt a little Black boy, you want to
and teach them how to be European, and teach them how to be white with Black skin. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's the pathology of whiteness, right? And that's when we look at the history, as so many folks studying, you know, us, you know, dealing particularly with the United States, like studying us for some so-called pathology, is like, don't study Black folks. You need to study those white folks who thought lynching and slavery and Jim Crow was a normal way to act. Who thought criminalizing body parts because of their race, was something normal. It's like you're getting slightly less crazy than what you were But you're you know, and people don't like these terms, but you're the crazy ones. You're the ones who are out of pocket, B.
The
I don't
mere
need you
definition.
studying me. You're the ones.
Yes.
Turn those resources and study yourself and leave us the hell alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
But again, you know, you can't. So people like to rationalize. Groups rationalize, right? You can't get this stuff. You can't accomplish what you want to accomplish by turning your lens on yourself, of course, because that would do damage to yourself. So you rationalize. It's these folks, they're like you said, like they're savages. We need to show them how to use land properly. What are these Africans doing over here? We can civilize them by bringing them God and religion, and they can do some work for us, which would be healthy for them. They love this stuff. They love
look at how they're built.
Yeah, we helping them out. Well, you know, it's like this rationalization that makes it all okay. They're like, you did something wrong, you need to be punished. So we're gonna have to whip you to punish you. That's normal for them.
But even worse, they're not even charging for those pretty rocks over there. What is this, all this gold and all of this? I mean, what's wrong with these people? You know what I'm saying? What they're walking around with them on their neck. Everyone's looking free. What's happening with this? You know, they're so savage. They're growing their own foods. What? Why would they want to plant their own food?
They're not making that.
You know, we need a whole food in the community.
Yeah.
Why a community garden? We don't need a community garden. What type of savage shit is that?
It's going to get in the way,
man. But you know that's the way of. I mean, it's funny because of the fact that earlier when we were speaking on the Biden administration about how folks forget. You know what I'm saying? Once they show up and you have this new PR campaign and everything, they flip the script, and now all of a sudden he's no longer the piece of shit Biden he was before. Now he's the president of the United States. So he's changed his ways. He got a black vice president right here who's also a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's a woman, so it's cool now. You know what I'm saying? It's a black woman. You know what I mean? So everyone come vote for these people now because of the fact that Biden is making the right decision, because of the fact that he cares about the black community, particularly black women in the Me Too movement era.
And that's on that same stream, getting some of us to buy into their pathology, or to see like they have nice shiny things, and so we therefore think that is what life is now about. And so if only we had access to it, if only we too had a piece of it, then that would make it better. And the rest of you who can't get a piece is because you're too lazy, right? Or it's because you listening to that rap music, or you walking with your pants down. If you would only get with the program, everything would be good, right? And they you know, whether or not people actually are suffering from a form of ignorance or stupidity, or they should know better, at some points it really don't make a difference, right? It's because you've now sided with people who not only historically but currently have done everything possible to murder, oppress, rape, enslave people that look just like you, right? And so the fact that you would join in with somebody else to continue that,
kind of man.
You know, I don't. It's sometimes. Obviously, as an organizer, there's always like this thinking of like who you get to win over, or who gets to change their mind. But there is also a point where it's like somebody they've chosen sides. You can't reason with somebody who's chosen a side. They're gonna have to come to that reasoning on their own. But in the meantime, you know, they got to be lumped in with the rest of them. You know, they can't get no honorable discharge because of their race or anything like that, or because of their sexuality, or because they're a woman or anything like that. Their gender roles. It's like if you side with the state on oppression, or if you knowingly, in a lot of ways, sometimes even unknowingly, but knowingly help perpetuate what's happening by telling us that we shouldn't be rebelling, we shouldn't be angry, we shouldn't be out in the streets, that we can only make these changes through policy, then you too have abandoned a struggle that you may claim to, but because you're also benefiting and you're next to the same whiteness, which has destroyed our folks in our community. So
that's right. And once the line of demarcation is drawn, it's hard to erase. You can't just say, look, I'm on this side right over here. You have to pick a side. You have to make a decision of where you are and where you're going to be. And the fact is, what I was saying about the whole Biden thing is like we've forgotten the history of I hate to say these people, but we've forgotten the history of these people. And I'm talking about white folks and black folks who uphold capitalism, who uphold imperialism, and who look at domination as some sort of avenue of success. You know what I'm saying? You cannot, I mean, this is a planet where we have over 8 billion people on it. You understand what I'm saying? You have over 1 million people starving on this same planet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, excuse me, 1 billion people starving on this planet. That's insane. 1 billion people starving on the planet, 1 billion people without adequate water, and even more when we talk about healthcare. You know what I'm saying? But yet we have these buffoons parading up and down telling us to, you know, just be calm and this is going to happen and that's going to happen, so on and so forth. You know, I ran into Andre Dickens the other day, by the way, who's a candidate for
Premier
here in Atlanta. Yes. And him and his communication director, they told me they were going to come on the show. So I want you all, they said he was coming on the RemiX Morning Show. Now, this is where the remixes and all our good Africans in the chat room come in handy, right? We need you to contact Andre Dickens and say, hey, we heard you were going to be in a RemiX Morning Show. At this point in the game, this is what accountability is about. If someone gives us a signature and they say that, look, this is going to happen, then accountability is a must. Now, I'm not saying he's not planning on it, but I haven't heard back from his people since Friday just yet. So for the folks in the audience, Google Andre Dickens, you know what I'm saying? And make sure, remind him that he promised that he'd be coming on the RemiX Morning Show. And we're looking forward to having him on.
And he's a perfect example. I mean, you know, it's a perfect example of what we were just talking about. Young, celebrated, talks a good game, but it's the substance, right? It's the substance, whether he, again, knows it or not, is ignorant of it, he thinks he's doing good, he buys in to, you know, he's in that mode of Obama, right? And I'm not singling him out because there's so many, both local and national politicians who have now used the Obama example. Cory Booker is another perfect example with less charisma than Obama, who are very, I mean, zero. He might have negative charisma actually and shit.
I think you're right.
But he's a perfect example of one of these folks who have, you know, they'll say certain things. People like, you know, Black folks in particular, you know, like it when they see folks cleaned up and in a suit. That makes us feel proud. It's one of those things about having, you know, too many of us in poverty. If somebody cleans themselves up and they shave, all of a sudden we think that they means that they're a great person or something like that. But the rhetoric of it continues to be supporting development, supporting sort of corporate interest in the type of development that pushes us out of communities. And Obama himself right now is gentrifying Chicago, parts of Chicago, South Side Chicago, putting this library there, as if that somehow is going to bring something relevant to that particular Black community, as opposed to, like you mentioned earlier, increasing property taxes, making it so that other folks going to want to build big houses in those areas, making it so that the very Black folks that, again, they double talk out of the side of their mouth that they say they claim to want to help are going to be pushed out of those areas. And that's going to be the next step. So check out what's happening in Southside Chicago, because that's what's happening all over the country right now, particularly in urban areas that Black folks are once the majority of.
Absolutely. So accountability is a must. You know, of course, you know, many of us against electoral politics on the national level, but all politics are local. And we got to keep that in mind. And you have to hold these local politicians in particular accountable, because of the fact that these are the folks who are making decisions in your neighborhood and make it easy for the quote unquote gentrifiers to come through and land grab. You know what I'm saying? And to snatch up the properties and to take advantage of people who are not knowledgeable about what's going on and property value, so on and so forth. So, you know, definitely we will keep you posted. I left Andre Dickens' email and his communication director email inside of the chat. So I need all of you to email these folks and ask them, you know, what day are you coming on the RemiX Morning Show? Because we're looking forward to having you. And this is how we're dealing with folks from this point on. Don't make no promises over here, because we'll come for you. That's what we do at the RemiX Morning Show. Anyway, we got a dynamite guest that'll be coming up after the ear doctor. She is the daughter of two of my favorite revolutionaries on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Two people who are the reason why I even stayed in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Both for parents, former veteran members of the Republic of New Africa, the Black Panther Party, the BLA, so on and so forth. And, you know, they're also accomplished musicians. You know what I'm saying? We've had Bilal Suni Ali on on Riot Started TV, and you know, he did a special on Gil Scott-Heron. He's a member of the Midnight Band. The sister's mother, Fulani Suni Ali, a general, one of the baddest sisters I ever met. Excuse me, one of the baddest freedom fighters I ever known in my entire life. In days, she was a singer with Nina Simone. So they have a very large history. And after we finish with the brother, the ear doctor, we'll be back with our next guest.
Oh, so yeah, speaking of history, your next guest, we got a little history too. Guess who all worked in the kitchen together? Me, your next guest, and Jay Electronica. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was big up to Dami Abras, Ross Lumumba. And speaking of Andre Dickens, back about 12 years ago, we all had a podcast called That's Good Radio. So I'm gonna reach out to Andre too. We're gonna make that happen.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's get to it.
Remix. You know what we do around here. Let's go.
Remix. Yeah. What's good, everybody? What's good, everybody? How y'all doing today? So we're just gonna take a quick musical break, and I wanted to give a little bit of love to MC that don't get enough shine. We got a new verses coming up, which I'm excited about to see Big Daddy Kane versus KRS-One. But one person that KRS-One battled and put down in the ground, and I just want to bring him back up and resurrect him. Big up to MC Shan. So we're gonna give you all a little musical break and do it like this. All right, check this out. Speaking of MC Shan, he had one song that I got to get to right here. I'm gonna give you all a little bit of it, and it was called "Left Me Lonely." Check this out. Yo, coincidental how I met her, but when I seen her, I knew that I get her. Can't let her step. She looked too good, but my wares made me seem like a stone cold hood. I'm a lucky guy, so I press my luck and step to her like what? Yo, went her way, took a few steps past her, got the nerve, and then I asked her. I said, yo, baby, and she started to reach. I said, girl, don't get excited, that's a figure of speech. She gave me her name, her number and all, and when I stepped, she said, I better call. It took about a month, but she was finally mine. Everything was going good, we was doing fine. After a while, it wasn't a thing. We was even holding hands. She was under my wing. She used to whisper in my ear, I'm her one and only. But she ran with another man and left me lonely. Yeah, and that's what it is. MC Shan. Don't forget about that guy right there, man. He did it up. Big up to MC Shan. Big up to the whole Juice crew. Big up to my crew, Black Power Media. And that's how we do. All right, let's get ready to get into this dope interview. Let's get back to it, y'all. All right. Yo, that was my joint, bro.
MC Sham.
I'm like, man, like this cat right here. I thought you was MC Shan for a minute. I'm looking, I see the hat and whatnot. I'm like, okay,
hey, you know,
look at Shan. I gained his weight
and everything back in the day. I was killing the game, son.
Same weight class.
Same weight.
Yo, I'm done with y'all, man. Let's get with this interview. Peace.
They had the same dental record, but he fixed his. But anyway, shout out to the ear doctor for his MC Shan rendition. You know what I'm saying? Heard he's a stunt double at Morris Brown for him. But yeah, so our next guest, man, he just hit me with one talking about him, Asante and Jay Electronica was in the kitchen together. That sounds
get that history when you do that interview. We want that history.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I mean, when the ear doctor talking about the history like that, man, it might be like some flip it type joint. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I want to bring on our next guest in a second, man. So let's make it happen. Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
Good
Peace.
morning.
What's happening? Dr. Asante Suni Ali is in the building. What's happening, sis? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Check this out, man. It's crazy because I'm sitting there. I'm about to pull up your bio and everything because you sent me this beautiful, lovely bio, and all of a sudden my computer freezes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm a freestyle on this, and we're gonna make it happen.
Cool.
How's that?
That's
anyway.
fine. And I want to say thank you for having me. And congratulations on the platform. I've seen a few of your programming. So congratulations and shout out to all of you all, the ear doctor. I know we're gonna talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about how you know the ear doctor in the kitchen, because I know he wasn't cooking. Claude had mercy. I wouldn't eat his cooking. You know what I'm saying? I know he had a pizza restaurant, but anyway, yes. So Dr. Asante Suni Ali, as I mentioned earlier, I've been knowing her for quite a while. Her immediate family, at least, because they have a large family. She is a seed of the revolution in every sense of the word. Her mother was and is someone that I would consider one of my generals. Let me just say that still to this day. And the same with her father, her mother being Fulani Suni Ali and her father Bilal Suni Ali, two people who have impacted my organizing, along with the other family members, her brother Kofi, who we were roommates, and that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that some other time.
Right.
And his wonderful twin and entire family. But I want to jump in real quick and just say that, first of all, congratulations to you. We are all proud of you as a community because of the fact that we've seen you walk walk this road, and now you're on a whole nother level. For the people who are not familiar with Dr. Asante Suni Ali, please give us a rundown, a slight history lesson. And I apologize again for not pulling up your bio properly. And I don't want to jack anything up. So I want to hear from you. That's good.
No problem at all. So good morning to all of the viewers and listeners. You may hear my daughter talking in the background because that's just what it is. So first of all, that's one of my most important jobs, being the mother of my 3-year-old, Amina Charm, Yewande Fulani. Outside of that, my day job is teaching Pan-African Studies. We actually just became the Department of Africana Studies at Kent State University. So I teach courses on Black experience from the beginnings of time to the present, teach courses on Black images and also Black childhood. In Africana Studies in general, what we do is teach about the experiences, the rich history and culture of people of African descent wherever we are in the world. Outside of that, I also have a research and documentary series, Seeds of Revolution, that I'm repping here. Okay. And I just actually wrapped the first episode in the series. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to look at the trailer today. If not, we could definitely drop the link in the chat. But Seeds of Revolution essentially is a celebration and documentation of the tactics and strategies employed by our people wherever we are as we pursue liberation, right? So revolutionary strategies and tactics that we use that we can kind of join together and learn from each other. So essentially the research and documentary series is about documenting that, highlighting it, and celebrating.
No doubt. No, that sounds definitely awesome. And for the viewers, what we're going to do is we're actually going to clip this segment and we're going to include the trailer inside of the clip, so for folks to know. And we're also going to give you the web address and everything as well. We're going to put the link in the chat for sure. Tell us, like, Seeds of Revolution, what's the concept and like what brought it about? I know that you're not only just a professor, I know you're a playwright. I've been to one of your plays that you had, I think, at Georgia State.
Yeah.
You're also a singer. You know what I'm saying? All I know is that I gotta get that. Shout out to Ekadiah. Yeah. And you got jokes too, though. So you know what I'm saying? Don't let them fool you. That's the Suni Ali way.
Oh yes. There's a lot of discussion about our parents as revolutionaries. But it takes a sense of humor, right, to navigate, these experiences. So Seeds of Revolution, the concept really is looking at youth, particularly those who are offspring of revolutionary movements like the New African Independence Movement, Black Power movement. And we're once again looking at not only those strategies and tactics that are employed by people like us, but also looking at some of the principles of our upbringing and some of the experiences and how those experiences can be replicable and passed on to new generations of not only Africana people, but other marginalized communities as well.
No doubt. So, I mean, how long did it take you to, you said you just wrapped up the first segment, and how many segments you talking about, and what do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, so it is a series. And so the first episode is called Seeds of Revolution, Growing Up New African. It took about 5 years. So we started at the end of 2016. And we, just kind of pushed through. The first episode includes historians as well as veteran movement builders, as you mentioned earlier. So it has Bilal Suni Ali, Dr. Akagele Umoja, Watani Tahimba, Mama Tamu, Sana Kanyama, Mama Iya, Kaina Gafor. And so we interviewed these elders, and we also captured interviews with young people. So it's intergenerational, it's an intergenerational dialogue. It also includes a broad kind of history of the New African Independence Movement and the Republic of New Africa. And then we talk about some contemporary iterations of that, not organization, but that government and that movement and the principles of that movement. And so some of those contemporary iterations are current youth spaces like Quilombo Academic and Cultural Institute, which is a K-8 African-centered school. We look at Camp Pumziko, which is a sleepaway survival camp. And we also look at the New African Scouts Organization, which is a youth arm of the Malcolm X grassroots movement, and New African Peoples Organization. And then we also look at Tamu Sana Kanyama Preparatory Academy, which is an African-centered private high school.
No doubt.
And so, it took about 5 years to pull it together. As we've discussed, a lot of the content is really personal to me. It opens up with a homage to our ancestors, and it closes with a homage to our political prisoners and prisoners of war, and also New Africans that are in exile. And so, along the way, I had to find ways to stay in and stay engaged while not creating too much distance. Because as you know, in academia and the Eurocentric kind of ways of doing research, it's kind of promoted that you distance yourself and you not be too close. But I'm talking about my parents, right? And I'm talking about people who are uncles and aunts. And so it did take, time for me to get through the process, because I wasn't looking at it as a research project, but as an extension of my upbringing, and a telling of those very intimate stories of what it means to be New African.
Man, listen, I got it's crazy because and shout out to Mama Tamu as well. We had her on Riot Started TV, I think about a month or so ago. Mm-hmm. But one of the things, just being privy to certain information, I think that this project you're doing is awesome, and it's absolutely important and valuable. And I got a ton of questions, but I'm trying to keep them along line for our viewers. And first and foremost, you mentioned, just coming out as, an academic, the professor side of things, so on and so forth. How important, or how shall I say, have you been impacted by the legacy of your parents growing up as a seed of revolution, as you say? How important is it to have that grounding when you're dealing with African studies, particularly in the academic world?
Oh yeah, it's so important. It's my salvation in so many ways, because as I said, when you are in academia, especially if you're not in Africana studies. So my entire academic career has been at predominantly white institutions.
Wow.
And so, right. And I think even you and I had some of those conversations along the way about some of the frustrations and challenges of that. But what would always fortify me and give me a sense of strength and grounding was, remembering who I was, right? Remembering who I am, remembering whose I am, and even calling on those people who are, from my community who are in academia to just ask, like, how did you do this, in terms of the school side? And then even on the other side of it, how do you make sense of it? How do you, continue to fight the good fight? Because even within Black studies, sometimes, we have to challenge, our universities and the larger institutions. And we're also charged with not only teaching students, but teaching other faculty, right? And teaching community about, our principles and our values and what it means to be human, right? And what it means to create space and allow space for other people to live the fullest expression of their humanity. And so growing up the way that I did, it really gave me the grounding to be able to survive, right? What it is that I've chosen to be a part of. The legacy, is it's beyond words, right? When I think about just what my parents passed on to me. And in so many ways, it's so embedded in who I am that it's second nature, right? So I don't have to necessarily sit and think about, okay, how can I be an activist today? It's in my blood, right? It's embedded in how I move, how I speak, how I make space for other people, how I create community. And so, it's been a blessing. It's also been a privilege to have, parents like mine who were models for what it actually looks like to, embed activism and organizing into your everyday practice. And so having those as models, allowed me to see and to, actually have the tools to be able to embed that in my own daily practice.
For the sake of not sounding sacrilegious, I would say that the word activist with the Suni Ali family is I think it's an understatement, and I wouldn't call the Suni Ali's activists. I would call them revolutionaries. And in saying that, and that's not to disrespect activists, but I can imagine just with your work on campus, the challenges with faculty. I'm quite sure that in many cases that same faculty look like us. Would that be right, or would it just be Europeans as far as like the challenges as far as teaching? Or
well, yeah, it depends. It depends because in my department and various departments across campus and even at other institutions that I've been at, you have those who look like us that are as they say all skin kind, are not family. That's actually not how it goes, but you know what I'm talking
it's
about.
Okay. That's how I know. That's how I know we can focus. We're gonna mess up a quote. Don't worry about it. You
exactly. So,
they know what we're talking about.
Right. All skin folk ain't kin folk. There it is.
Okay, good thing.
So that, and then we also have what my chair jokingly calls as our blue-eyed soul sisters and brothers. Okay. So it varies, right? So we have challenges. It's really about the ideas. It's not necessarily about the people. It's about the ideas and the practices of equity and diversity and inclusion. But we take on the role as teachers, as professors. We take that role on, like I said earlier, not only as it relates to our students, but to our entire community.
I want you to and usually we have shorter time, but I'm extending this time, and I don't think anyone's gonna have any beef with me doing it. And if they do, we'll just fight behind the scenes. But I want to. You mentioned your parents several times. There's two situations that I would like to touch on, if it's cool, because of the fact that I need people, and this is selfish for me. I need people to understand, who your parents are. I mean, it's one thing, you know, everybody loves their parents and everything. And in some cases, your parent might be a cop, whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, my parent, well, I'm the best dad in the world. But this ain't that. You know, there was a situation in Mississippi that took place when your siblings were younger. And I know that you talked about it in your play. I forgot the name of the play. Forgive me for that.
Our Liberated Justice.
Our Liberated Justice. Okay, at least I was there. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah. So Our Liberated Justice, you touched on part of it, a large part of it was the situation that took place in Mississippi. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So Our Liberated Justice is a play that chronicles the experiences of my family, namely my parents and older siblings, and also extended family members that experienced a pre-dawn raid on their home in 1981. So this was about 2 years before I was born. I also have a one-woman show version of the show called A Political Prisoner in My Mother's Womb, because it actually does extend out to her being pregnant with me in political exile and then having to be released from prison to give birth to me. So that particular play talks about my parents and my family's navigating the FBI's COINTELPRO program and being framed and, like I said, ultimately in prison for crimes that they did not commit. And so the story is a story of not only sharing that story, but a story of triumph, a story about our survival. I didn't mention earlier that along with my parents, my grandfather, Elijah Adegbalola, General Elijah Adegbalola, he was the Minister of Defense for the Republic of New Africa. He was present. And one of the things that he was quoted as saying is that we didn't have any casualties, right? So you had 2 big Army tanks, you had hundreds of police officers who had surrounded this one-room shack in Birdtown, Mississippi. And my grandfather was able to, he was a military-minded man, right? He was a general in security, and he trained the New African Security Forces. And so he knew how to navigate that experience. And that was one thing that he said, is that we didn't have any casualties as a result of, that raid that happened that morning. But again, that play really chronicles that experience. But most of all, it celebrates the fact that we all survived and we're still surviving.
Ashe. Now, I think it should be noted that he was the only adult male there. Is that correct?
This is correct.
Okay. And it was
your mother, children. Yeah, it was 13 children total. My mother, her sister Comrade, and Baba Elijah.
And I was told that the feds actually laid in the cow pasture literally in shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To conduct this raid.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they will be as discomfort. They will deny their own comfort.
Right.
To make sure that we're not comfortable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So definitely, I appreciate you sharing that. Also, your father Bilal, he's a renowned musician, saxophone, flute. They both sing. You know what I mean? But he was also a political prisoner himself. I know he was co-defendant of Marilyn Buck and Dr. Mutulu Shakur and others. Can you speak a little bit about who Baba Bilal is for folks who are late on this particular training?
Yes. So Baba Bilal, such a rich history. I guess I can start with him being a teenager, a late teen, and being one of the founding members of what he calls a notorious Bronx chapter of the Black Panther Party. Also a member of the Black Liberation Army. As you said, political prisoner. Actually, that's how my parents met. She was writing to political prisoners, and he was one of the people that she wrote to, and they developed a relationship from there and kept in touch. As you said, my father was a member of Gil Scott-Heron's Midnight Band. He's known as Spirit of the Midnight Band. My siblings and I joke now about the fact that my father just can't put his phone down. He's always on a Zoom call. He is always engaged in some aspect of the struggle, sharing his knowledge and wisdom and experiences with younger generations. Every time I'm around my dad or even his comrades, I'm learning new information, right, about the things that he has done. But he, also is an ambassador to the UNIA in Belize, Central America, where he resides. Not only is he a musician, plays the sax, flute, harmonica, trumpet, you name it. He's a songwriter, and he also is a music teacher.
No doubt.
He keeps going. He's actually been staying with me for the past week, and I heard him tell someone just yesterday that he's writing 3 books. So stay tuned, for the continuation of his legacy and his story.
Nah, and that's definitely necessary. One other job I want to add to is to the gamut, his list of jobs in career. Even though he's not Jamaican, he got more jobs than all the Jamaicans I know. He's also he's the Amir of the Imam Jamil Defense Committee.
Action Network, yes,
Action Network. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, shout out to him and his work. We work together on the international committee to support Imam Jamil Alameen. And shout out to Imam Jamil, who turned 78 yesterday. Imam Jamil Alameen, formerly H. Rap Brown. So, Dr. Asante Suni Ali. Yeah. It's funny me calling you doctor, and I knew you before the babies and all that. So when you said my daughter gonna be running, I'm like, I forgot she got a baby. Forgot about all this stuff. So that's
yes.
What what is the website for folks to check out so that they can be in tune?
So I'm on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Also seedsofrevolution.com. So if you go to seedsofrevolution.com, you'll be able to read kind of a full narrative about the scope of the research, as well as the documentary series. Again, you can look at the trailer, and you can also shop. You can purchase buttons like this. I have hoodies just in time for hoodie season. We have stickers. All of the proceeds from your purchases go directly towards the project, go towards the research and documentary project. So check us out on either one of those platforms.
No doubt. We want to thank you for joining us. Looking forward to having you back. Definitely get a love to the family. Go to Seeds of Revolution, seedsofrevolution.com or Seeds of the Revolution.
And let me make one correction. It's with a Z. So SEEDZ.
Okay. We'll correct that. That's not a problem. So
yes.
Let's do that right now before I get jumped by the whole Suni Ali clan. Like, you ain't mentioning such and such. Shout out to my sister who changed the name.
Princess Medaya.
Yes. Princess Medaya. I had to get it right because I didn't want no problems. Because I know about the old names, so we know how she do. So anyway, yeah, no doubt. Shout out to our great sister and my man Shakur, Commander Shakur out there, wherever you at. You know what I mean? Salute to you as well. But definitely keep up the solid work. Again, not for nothing, we're absolutely proud of you, and we're absolutely grateful that you're continuing this legacy. And I see a lot of people comparing folks in the chat. Man, I'm gonna say this publicly: the Suni Ali clan is incomparable. Please understand that. You know what I mean? And the legacy goes a little bit deeper. And I want folks to go back too. I did an interview with your father some years ago on Tupac and the Revolutionary Shakur clan.
Yes.
Yeah. So make sure y'all Google that, because of the fact that he breaks down, and we didn't even get into the lineage of the Shakur clan.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That it's just so much that we can get back to. But
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to.
And can I share 2 things?
Please do.
In terms of the Shakur clan and that lineage, my sister actually is dropping a book called A Light on the Hill, and it's reflections on the life and legacy of Tupac Amaru Shakur. And it talks a bit about some of the things that I've discussed today in terms of him being a seed of revolution, and sharing not only his artistry, but his revolutionary practices and principles with the world. And then also, if you're interested in more about my mom, I actually wrote an entry on her life and lived experiences in the Black Power Encyclopedia that you can also find on Amazon. It's edited by Dr. Akinyele Umoja and Jasmine Young. So there's a wealth of more information. Thank you for having me. Thank you all for watching. And,
2 things before you go. One
Mhm.
thing you said, your sister, the book. Please
Yeah.
let her know I want to bring her on the show. So please
Absolutely.
pass my info to her.
Yes.
And also,
Aisha Obafemi.
yes. Definitely shout out to Aisha and all her work on the music side as well.
Mhm.
And your brother Shaka.
Yeah.
So I want to this last question, the ear doctor, the people want to know, y'all working in the kitchen. Was y'all flipping pies? Was
Well, wait a minute now. So wait a minute. So
I need to know.
Come back on to talk about this Dre Electronica piece because I don't remember Jay Electronica being in the kitchen.
Yeah, yo, that's what Soul Messiah was saying. I didn't know the dude was in the kitchen either, and he was like,
okay.
"Yeah,
So he was definitely incognito because I didn't peep it.
I know, right? That was crazy to me too. So, but I just want to know this right here.
Hey.
She's on.
Y'all know nothing about that.
They don't know nothing about it. We got to drop that in the link too.
We worked at Domi Abra, Vegan Kitchen. Shout out to Ross Lumumba. We were in there making rotis, and he's from Trinidad, so it was a Caribbean flavor or take on vegan food. So I learned a lot in that process. We had a lot of good laughs in that kitchen.
Oh yeah, Kofi was in there. Big up to Prince.
Yes.
Oh man.
Wait, which Kofi? You talking about Ross Kofi?
Our brother Kofi.
No, Shakur.
Oh, okay. They let him in there too. It's all over.
Oh,
we gotta let you go.
Ayana worked in there.
Ayana, we was all up in that piece.
All of children. So
they let Ayana work there too. I'm gone.
Don't do that.
Hey, that food was banging. And big up to Ross, because if it wasn't for working in that restaurant, I wouldn't have known how to run my own restaurant. So
thank you.
It was a beautiful thing.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my first job. And also another plug, my husband and I do a vegan meal prep service. And so it helped me for that too. So if you want to check that out, go to Ashanti Gold on Instagram, on Facebook.
And the song was banging. So yeah.
And the song was banging.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, we're going to catch you on the next round. Love and appreciation. Stay on point. And we'll see you soon. This is the RemiX Morning Show. We live. This was Dr. Asante Suni Ali. And we'll be back at you in a few ticks. You know what we do around here. Black out.
What up? That was really good.
I was looking for you. I'm like, where Kamal go? Kamal dipped off on us and whatnot.
It was your interview. What do you mean where I go?
Okay.
I don't, you know what I'm saying? Usually you offer when you want to share the platform. You offer. You're like, you guys want to do the thing with me? I didn't hear nothing this time. I was just like, let's just go to that interview.
Now, Kamal. Now.
I'm just saying.
Anyway.
But she was great, man. She's great. She's got such a, like you said, the family history, her history, in spite of the fact that she knew the ear doctor.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
She's cool otherwise than that.
Yeah, she was good till she said that part. I'm like, hold on, the ear doctor.
Yeah.
Whoa. I need y'all to stop disrespecting.
We just bigging you up, brother. We like, nobody say nothing about the ear doctor.
It's so wild that he knows so many people in like more the cultural context, like folks we know, or at least I know, with some of like these political histories, and so many of these same people, if not more. Do like just some of the cultural aspects and putting together businesses and all that kind of stuff. That's
the thing about dealing with music. It's like a part of everything. You know what I'm saying? I get to be behind the scenes and listen to some of the greatest speakers. I mean, who was the brother you was running? Chokwe? Yes, I remember the first time meeting you working with him. And I was like, okay. I mean, I get to meet a whole lot of different people. And yes, I used to own a pizza place back in '99. So yeah, that was back then though. For 3 years.
What was the name of it? What was the name of the pizza shop?
Papa John's.
What was it?
Papa
What'd you
John's.
say? Hateration? The funny thing is we went to Papa John's and went and got one of my homeboys, Yashua Allah, and was like, "Yo, how much they paying you?" I was like, "I give you $1 more." Brought him over. He taught us all how to make pizzas.
Wait.
And for folks who don't, folks who don't know this, yo, the ear doctor genuinely used to make pizza.
Yeah,
and had a pizza
pie,
restaurant. When I first heard the story, I was like, "Did y'all sell drugs?" I don't understand
what Biggie say. I was high when it hit me. When he told me that, I was like, "What?"
Yo, and you know what's funny? We was one of the first ones that had soy cheese. We had all our pizzas named after black activists. We had Queen Mother Moore. We had Bob Marley. We had all types of pizzas named after black activists. We was always about our history, and we always gave people good music. That's how I really got on DJing, making mixtapes there to play for everybody. So yeah,
okay,
that's a little bit.
So you actually went. I mean, he didn't tell us this part of the story. Come on, dude said he actually went to Papa John's, found a dude that was flipping pizzas, said how much they paying you, and paid him $1 more to show him how to make pizza.
That's
right.
Really,
you exploited him on the low because you only gave him $1 more, and you made an empire,
bruh. How many 5%ers ain't gonna turn down a chance to work with his own people and be able to talk that junk and then be the man and then get $1 more? Come on, big up to Yashua Allah and Yonkers.
He's like, he can teach you today's mathematics, make more money, be around his folks. Bro, nobody's inhibiting him. Nah, that's like, yeah.
How much is this slice?
Slice was $125 back then. That was in '99. Yeah. Okay. Cheese slice. And we also had a barbecue chicken pizza. One of the first to do that. Listen, man.
We might have to do a BPM pizza spot, man. What y'all think? Come on, can you find somebody?
I think so, man. You know I mean, get your little entrepreneurship on, you know what I'm saying? Jared ain't gonna like it because Jared don't think none of that, but I'm saying. He gonna get out Maryland. Welcome on that. Welcome.
He's like, that's capitalism.
Pizza in the spot.
Hey, so y'all stop through the BPM pizza spot we'll have in another year here in Atlanta. You know what I mean? So,
and he said, it might be, what is it? CBM? What's that shit called? That marijuana thing? What y'all call it?
Oh, CBD.
CBD. It might be some CBD pizza.
CBD pizza.
True.
Okay.
True.
I thought you were going to say BBD pizza. Okay. Yeah.
East Coast family.
Yeah. Hey, I see Princess Medaya talking about it was the best pizza in the hood.
That's right. That's right. Okay. She used to come through.
A little too young to remember your pizza, B.
Hey, she only said she must have got some free slices. I know.
Nah, bro. Listen, we had the best, man. We had all types of people fall through. Don't get me started. I'm gonna talk about this. One day y'all gonna interview me and find out all the shit I've done.
I know you are correct. I mean, you don't have to, but you know pizza, and that should be complimented. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely get you on the interview joint. I'm gonna just make sure I am totally stoned. Just like Cypress Hill.
That's every day though. So
why you bring up old stuff? But anyway,
big up y'all. Yo, another dope show.
I know, yo. So what we got? We going. Folks come back tomorrow, 10 a.m. I think my man, not 8 a.m. So about that East Coast time. My man Jared gonna be in the house, right?
Okay.
Kim Brown should be in the house.
Kim Brown.
Jackie Luke
should be in the house. It's gonna be a
she might bring Sean Blackman and Brusky.
Let's get him in the house. We need Sean. I mean, we've been on his show so many times. We gotta get him up in here and do something. I don't even care what he talk about, as long as he does his little his Barry White voice and shit like that.
Lou Rawls, you'll never find another host like mine. Anyway, checking out the Remix Morning Show. Black Power Media. We out of here. Be safe.
Peace.